So the X-Men are making their MCU debut in 2026. More and more X-Men characters are arriving in Marvel Rivals all the time, and you want to read some X-Men comics, but you're not sure where to start? Well, you're just in luck, as a brand new era of X-Men, the Shadows of Tomorrow, is beginning right now. So join me, Wheels, as I break down everything you need to know about this upcoming era for the mutants of the Marvel Universe.
What do they call you? Wheels?
The first title of this brand new era is actually a series that is continuing on from the Ashes era. It's the flagship X-Men title by Jed MacKay. This is focused on Cyclops' team, which consists of Psylocke, Magik, Juggernaut, Magneto, Beast, Temper, Quentin Quire, Zorn, Glob Herman, and two new mutants, Animalia and Ben Liu. Now with art by Tony Daniel and Netho Diaz, the book returns with an epilogue to the Age of Revelation event in issues 23 and 24. First, where we see what happened when the future version of Cyclops wound up in the present, and then we get a look at what the X-Men's enemies, the Shadowy Council 3K, are up to. Then, with the milestone issue 25 and beyond, Cyclops' team are pushed to their limit at home in Alaska and across the globe as multiple emergencies happen at once. This book, as a flagship, is driving the main plots and the biggest stories forward, and I think it's been one of the strongest books of the entire line. So if you want to keep up to date with the main things that are happening in the X-Men universe, then I definitely recommend this book. The next book released in January is Wolverine, another continuing series by Saladin Ahmed, Martin Coccolo and Mike Henderson. Restarting with issue 14, Logan, back in his classic brown and tan outfit, teams up with Silver Sable of all people to help save a brand new group of Morlocks, before the Canadian comes face to face with his old superhero team Alpha Flight and Department H. Reformed back in X-Men issue 11 last year and led by a brand new Vindicator, Wolverine becomes their next target, and they unleash a lethal weapon that might be able to kill the unkillable mutant. Plus, we'll be getting Logan vs Hercules. Wolverine fans, this is obviously the book for you. Uncanny X-Men is the final book carrying on into the new Shadows of Tomorrow era, written by Gail Simone with art by David Marquez and Luciano Vecchio. Now, this book is all about Rogue and her team of Gambit, Wolverine, Nightcrawler and Jubilee, along with the young New Mutants, the Outliers, Jitter, Ransom, Calico and Deathdream. Returning with issue 22, Mutina, the mutant horror movie star, reappears to terrorize the team once more and ruin what is a very important day for Nightcrawler. And then with issue 23, the next arc begins, where Rogue's team will face off against a cadre of monsters, leading to matchups like Wolverine vs Werewolf by Night and Jubilee vs Morbius the Living Vampire. And if you know anything about Jubilee, she's got a history with vampires. Plus, secrets are going to be revealed that link back all the way to issue 1, and somebody dies? As another flagship, this book has a consistent balance between light-hearted family dynamics and a gothic horror-esque tone. And with its more classic lineup, if you're a fan of the X-Men animated shows, then this book is 1000% for you. Now we're finally on to the first new book of the Shadows of Tomorrow era, the ongoing series Inglorious X-Force by Tim Seeley and Michael Santamaria. The premise here is that Cable returns from the future with amnesia and just a few clues on how to stop the assassination of the first mutant president. Those clues are 3 names: Wolverine, aka Wolverine's son Akihiro, Archangel, and Boom Boom, and they are all recruited by the Time Traveler to try and prevent this event from ever happening. But there are secrets within the team and hidden agents that threaten to ruin everything. Unlike the previous volume of X-Force, this seems to be a more aggressive action book filled with secrets, murder, and betrayal, but it also feels more inspired by the classic 90s series over the more modern Black Ops team. Either way, if you're a Cable fan or an X-Force fan, come get this. Slight spoilers, but if you're a fan of Miss Marvel and you want to keep up to date with what's going on with her in the X-Men universe, then this is the book you should be reading. Alongside all of these present day titles, there is also going to be one new flashback miniseries set in past X-Men continuity. Starting in January, we'll have Psylocke Ninja. What a title!
Groundbreaking.
By Tim Seeley and Nico Leon. This story takes place sometime during the events of Uncanny X-Men issues 256 to 258 in 1989, which for those unaware is the infamous debut of Asian Psylocke, where Betsy Braddock, a white British woman, is transformed into a Japanese assassin. This is later retconned to have been a body swap with the assassin known as Canon, and this lasted up until 2018, where eventually both characters will return to their original bodies. Psylocke Ninja takes place in the immediate aftermath of the body swap and sees a brainwashed Betsy have to fight against another famous assassin, Elektra. Now personally I have some issues with a series about this particular plot point happening in 2026. I mean, first of all, it's a very messy, confusing and racist plot, and it doesn't benefit either Canon or Betsy. I'd rather we had a Canon solo, a Betsy solo. We could have even had a Canon flashback miniseries where she fights Elektra before the body swap. It's a period of time we know nothing about. The story will probably be fun and enjoyable and will fit well into continuity, but I think it's better if we just leave the body swap back in 1989 where it belongs. And to conclude January, the Uncanny X-Men's leader will be getting her very own 5-issue miniseries by Erica Schultz and Luigi Zagaria. Unlike the previous Rogue series, this one will be set in the present, with Rogue teaching her X-Men and still being happily married to Gambit. However, it will be heavily dealing with her early past as a member of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. See, Anna Marie is suddenly plagued by memories and visions of a mission gone wrong, and she has no idea what it's about. So she goes on a journey. She'll be visiting her parents, Mystique and Destiny, who were leading the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants back then, along with the Constrictor of all people, to try and uncover some truths about her past surrounding Project Pegasus and Sabretooth. Rogue fans, this is for you. Kicking off February, Ashley Allen and Herman Peralta continue their work with the Russian sorceress in the new miniseries Magik Colossus. Reuniting with her brother after his brief stint undercover with X-Force, Ilyana and Pyotr Rasputin decide to return to their home in Russia. But this is a comic, so things never remain peaceful, and they soon uncover ancient folklore monsters attacking innocent people. So they have to put aside their baggage and sibling rivalry to save the day together. If you're a fan of Magik or Colossus, or you've read the previous Magik solo series that's by the same creative team, then I 100% recommend this for you. Aurora Monroe's cosmic trials continue in the new miniseries Storm, Earth's Mightiest Mutant, once again by Muewa Ayodele, with art now by Frederica Manchin. After surviving and defeating the first Thunder God, Hadad, Storm decides to return her focus back to Earth. However, the war above all looms ever closer, and Mistress Death is not far behind with her army of zombies. This series will see Aurora work with the Scarlet Witch, visit living planets, and even get abducted out of the multiverse. Plus, Galacta, Marvel Rivals mascot and daughter of Galactus, will be making her 616 debut in this very comic. If you're looking for a book featuring power feats and cosmic beings, or you read the previous Storm solo and want to see how the story continues, then Storm, Earth's Mightiest Mutant is one to read. The X-Men's very own leader is getting his own 5-issue miniseries in February by Alex Packnadel and Roge Antonio. In this book, Cyclops finds himself separated from the X-Men, lost in the wilderness, and without his visor to keep his powers in check. But not only that, the cyborg villains, Donald Pierce and his new Reavers, are on the hunt for him. So Scott will be put to the test as he tries to survive whilst also protecting a young mutant known as May. No, not that May. Packnadel has said in interviews that he wants this miniseries to be Cyclops' equivalent of Wounded Wolf for Wolverine, a defining one-and-done story for the mutant leader, and I for one am very intrigued to see Scott in this unique situation without a team to rally. Also, to these Cyclops fans out there, it seems like this series might have some ties to his childhood in the orphanage in Nebraska, which was led by Mr. Sinister. So keep your eyes open for that. The Merc with the Mouth finds himself back in the hands of the X-Office in his newest series, written by Ben Percy, who has also worked with Deadpool on X-Force and the Deadpool Wolverine series, with art by Jeff Shaw. Wade Wilson Deadpool finds our protagonist on the brink, which means the jobs are deadlier, the stakes are higher, and the humour is darker. But a dark memory haunts Wade, which means he's no longer laughing, and instead leads him down a dark path to something he cannot be forgiven for. Whilst I literally don't have any more information on this series yet, it's clear that this book is going to be a darker, grittier, and more violent era for Deadpool, and a clear departure from his previous series, which featured his daughter, Deadpool. Though I can imagine that Wade's trademark jokes will continue to break the fourth wall no matter how serious this gets. Laura Kinney is Wolverine, yet in this new ongoing series she must face the legacy of X-23. Yes, in Generation X-23 by Jodie Hauser and Jacopo Comangi, Wolverine and her clone sister Gabby, aka Scalp, are working together to take down the continued experiments of mutants when they come face to face with the next generation of mutant X subjects. X66, X73, X74, X92, X99, and X Infinity. I know, original.
Groundbreaking.
And none of them roll off the tongue quite like X23 does. Now, whether these new characters will be villains or heroes remains to be seen, but at the very least, they won't all be Wolverine clones. Instead, they have their very own unique mutations, like molten metal or giant bird wings. The story of the Wolverine family continues here, and it might even grow. Also in February, a new 4-issue Wolverine miniseries begins, Weapons of Armageddon by Chip Zdarsky and Luca Maresca. However, it's important to note that this is not part of the Shadows of Tomorrow era, and is instead actually a lead-in to the Avengers event Armageddon happening later this year. I don't know what that event will entail, but in this series, Logan will be facing his past as he learns that the Weapon X program's methods are alive and well, involving missing mutants and new super soldiers. Weapon 10 will also be facing off against Nuke, aka Weapon 7, and it might even tie into Chip Zdarsky's other series, Captain America, aka Weapon 1. Marvel also claim that this is the biggest Wolverine story in years, and that it will also have major impacts on the Marvel Universe. So, if you're a Wolverine fan, you want to know what's going on with Armageddon, or you're just here for the Weapon Plus shenanigans, maybe you should check this out. March begins with one of the most underrated X-Men, Dani Moonstar, getting her very own solo miniseries for the first time ever. After her tenure in the Society of Eternal Dawn, as seen in the pages of Magik, Moonstar by Ashley Allen and Eduardo Ordino sees the X-Men take on magical threats all on her own, in what has been described as an epic, fantasy-inspired saga. The new mutant will be leaning into her history as a Valkyrie as she deals with a threat that challenges everything she is. And he has a soul-sucking sword. This is a very exciting project, and after Alan's work with Dani in the Magik series, I can't wait to see what happens here, and I really hope it leads to more prominence for Moonstar in the future. New Mutants fans, you better come pre-order this book ASAP, and you can expect plenty of cameos from Dani's history. We're also getting an X-Men annual written by X-Men artist Ryan Stegman in his final work for the X-Office, along with art by him, Steve Skroce and Sanford Green. This issue will have Phoenix's first appearance in the newest era as he teams up with the Uncanny X-Men to take on the new mutant, the Creationist, who is using artists to visualize monsters that tear through reality and become real. Essentially, imagination itself is the threat. This standalone story seems to be like an art-focused extravaganza, but if a reunion between these classic X-Men interests you, then this is for you. Now we're finally onto the main announcement of the Shadows of Tomorrow era. The new ongoing series X-Men United by Eve Ewing and Tiago Palmer, which is a brand new mutant school open for the first time in 7 years. Grey Matter Lane. Now this isn't any old school, we're certainly not returning to the mansion, but is actually a campus on the psychic plane itself, meaning that every mutant can visit from anywhere in the world. It's the brand new hub of the X universe. And that's the big statement of this new book, the X-Men rebuilding together rather than remaining apart as they did in From the Ashes. A sequel of sorts to the exceptional X-Men series, also by Eve Ewing, Emma Frost will be the headmistress of this new school, but the faculty will span across the X-Men teams. From Logan and Laura to Kitty Pryde to Magneto and Beast to Prodigy, just to name a few. We'll also be seeing the return of the exceptional X-Men kids, Axo, Bronze, Melee and Rift, along with some brand new mutants we've never seen before and some old faces we haven't seen in quite some time. This book promises action, drama, danger and romance. However, not everyone is on board with the idea, as Cyclops is unsure whether it's safe to have all the mutants in one place together. Plus, a team of X-Men are going to go time travelling with Captain America. This series feels like their next big moment for the X-Men, with characters from all over getting involved. Almost like it's trying to recapture the learning vibe of the school, whilst also trying to capitalise on the community aspect of Krakoa. So whether you're missing the school or missing Krakoa, this book sounds like it's got something for everyone. In April, we'll also be getting an Uncanny X-Men annual written by Gail Simone and Mickey Kendall with art by Francesco Mortarino, which will be exploring the mutant history of the past. Yes, we'll be going back to early 1900s Louisiana as we get to explore more about the mutant team known as the Regulators. Now for those who have already been reading Uncanny X-Men, you might recognise them from the Dark Artery arc in issues 13 to 16, including Lady Henrietta, who is still alive in the present. How will this link to the Uncanny X-Men though? Well, the Regulators are the former inhabitants of Haven House, which is the Uncanny X-Men's current base. And they also have a connection to none other than Wolverine. Because of course, who else would it be? I personally found the Dark Artery arc to be the strongest storyline of the entire book so far, so I really hope this can continue with this one shot. Also, whilst it's not officially considered part of the Shadows of Tomorrow era, X-Men star Jubilee will be getting her very own one-shot as part of the Marvel Voices imprint. Written by Jean Luen Yang and drawn by Michael Y.G., Jubilee Deadly Reunion will see our fave firework-throwing mutant exploring her heritage and her family history when a long-lost cousin turns up on her doorstep with mutant powers and a mission. As an orphan, Jubilee's family history is pretty limited, so this is a good chance to explore that further. And finally, Saturday the 2nd of May is going to be Comics Giveaway Day, formerly known as Free Comic Book Day, which means that a free issue is going to be released to tease the future of the Avengers and the X-Men. Alongside the setup for Armageddon, we'll also be getting our very first look at the X-Men Summer Event of 2026. What is it, I hear you ask? Well, at the time of recording, I have absolutely no idea, but it's probably something big and important. And that's the entire Shadows of Tomorrow era explained so far. So, what series interests you the most and what series interests you the least? Let me know down below in the comments, leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and maybe think about subscribing if you want to keep up to date with what's happening with the X-Men in 2026 across the comics, movies and games, because I will still be talking about them even if no one else will. But with that, I'll see you all in the next video.